We see this in the Prophet's own religious instruction. In teaching the prayer, the very first example of transmission is when Gabriel teaches Hazrat Peygamber and Hazrat Peygamber teaches Khadija. In a real sense, Khadija is the first Muslim to follow Muhammad, as Muhammad follows the angels. This is a model of transmission, of tradition in the making, acted out between husband, prophet, and the wife. The young boy Ali joins them in prayer. And so it has been for the Prophet's community ever since, keeping a tradition of prayer ever since then. We go around the Kaaba as the earliest members of Ehl-i Beyt did. We follow in the footsteps of the Prophet and of the Ehl-i Beyt. As Khadija received the tradition, so do we. Now I want to say a word about that other light of the Prophet's eyes, very briefly, Hazrat Fatima. When our beloved Prophet was near the end of his life, it was to Fatima that he revealed the secret of his imminent departure. She wept out of sadness. Wanting to comfort her, he shared another secret with her, that she would be the first to join him a mere 6 months later. She laughed, this time out of joy. May God bless this weeping and this laughter, both out of love for the Prophet. May all of our states and station be for the sake of Allah and motivated by a love of the Prophet. One of the highest teachings that our Hazrat Peygamber teaches with us is that of Faqr Muhammadi, voluntary poverty of Muhammad. The true piety is one that links together faith in God and the angels with direct action, full of compassion, aimed towards the most marginalized of the society. Here's where in the Quran the zakat are not only a tax and not just charity, but purifying means of oneself and one's possession. This, of course, is tied to the teachings of our Prophet, Al-Faqru Fakhri. If I had to take pride in one thing, it would be in my poverty. We know that when the disciples visited the Prophet's own house, they marveled by the fact that there was one mat on the floor and 3 leather cushions. The rest of the adornment was the presence of the Prophet and the one that had sent the Prophet. This poverty, of course, was shared with the family of the Prophet. Medina at this time was full of people who had come from far and wide to see the Prophet, and it oftentimes came and fell upon the family of the Prophet to provide for them. Fatima had worked so hard in providing them that one time she had gone to the Prophet to ask for help. She said, "Nothing." The Prophet said, "What has brought you here, my little daughter?" Fatima could not speak and just said, "I have come to offer you my salams, Baba." And she returned home empty-handed. Ali came, asked for the same thing. And the Prophet said, "I cannot help you as long as there are poor in Medina." And yet that night he visited them, the home of Ali and Fatima, and he said, "I will bring you something better. I will bring you a prayer from Allah. Repeat Subhanallah 10 times after each prayer, Alhamdulillah 10 times, and Allahu Akbar 10 times. Then before going to bed, repeat each one 33 times." Ali himself stated that he had not once failed to repeat this formula since the Messenger of God taught this to him. Much has been said about the love of the Prophet for Hassan and Hussein, and I will not go over those at this point, but I will end with these simple words. These days, every Muslim group talks about following the Sunnah of the Prophet. In some ways, the challenge is not just to repeat the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but to live his akhlaq. And I suggest, in light of the above, that for us today, that means to have the type of husband-wife relationships that Hazrat Peygamber and Khadija shared, the type of parent and grandparents that they became. So much is said today about the issue of women's rights, and I think that we would learn so much by looking at this compassionate, equal, and nurturing relationship between the Prophet and Khadija, between the Prophet and Fatima. May we live this beautiful akhlaq. May we be worthy of standing under the banner of the Prophet and to be adorned with akhlaq Muhammadi. May we all get to walk hand in hand through the gates of Ehl-i Beyt and reside in the city of Ashq, the city of knowledge, the city of compassion, the city of the Prophet, who was sent as rahmatun lil alameen, as a mercy to all the universes. Amen.
Mr. Safi, please let us to give a souvenir to remember. Omid Safi'ye şifreni vermek üzere meşgule Serhat Hanımefendi davet ediyor.
Your speech is wonderful. Thank you very much. Evet, sözünüze teşekkür ediyoruz. Bu kadar güzel bir gecede, bu mübarek gecede, bu Peygamberimiz için ve Ehl-i Beyt için söylenen sözler birer harika. Hepimiz bunun meftunuyuz. Allah razı olsun.